Welcome to our weekly Realtor Spotlight. Today's guest is John Upshaw. John, it's good to have you.
Good to be here.
It's been you were one of those guys that I thought we would get on sooner. Didn't make it last month. I think we had some scheduling conflict or something like that. But looked forward to talking to you and getting to know you better. What you have some family that was in real estate, right?
So yeah, my mom and my dad both, unfortunately, they've passed on, but they were real estate agents in the 70s and 80s. And I guess you can say I kind of followed in the footsteps eventually. Didn't listen the first time when I got out of college and all, but here I am. So
Did they tell you not to get into it? Or?
no, actually, it was more my mom really encouraging me. She actually, was trying to push me
To get into it.
To get into real estate.
Gotcha.
My dad had already passed away. He passed away when I was 10, and my mom told me, she said, you ought to get your real estate license and all. Funny story is that when I passed my real estate exam, of all things, I passed the exam on the day of my dad's birthday.
Oh, wow.
And so I called my mom, and she said, I told you would get your license. So there you go.
When was that? Like 2012?
2015.
15. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, was your dad in it too? Just your mom?
Both my parents were real estate agents. Actually, my dad was actually a broker for Century 21 for a number of years, realty executives. Also worked for Maryland Pryor as well. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if your parents worked with mine. They were with Maryland Pryor over there on 104th and Penn, and then out in Mustang.
Yeah, there's a likelihood they probably did.
Mid-'80s.
Mid-'80s, yeah.
And weren't they in Norman? Weren't they with the Bide or something?
No, they were mainly in Southwest Oklahoma City.
Okay,
that's where they mainly did.
Always Century 21.
Century 21. They hopped around. They were with you remember Red Carpet,
right?
Real estate.
Right.
Like I said, realty executives. Of course, Maryland Pryor had her brokerage at the time,
right.
And all. And funny enough, too, they had worked at one point with Steve Mann, who's in our office now. So
right. Yeah. I'd love to get him on here. That would be great to have him.
That would be good.
Yeah. So you got into real estate in 15. Prior to that, what'd you do?
So I was a school teacher for nearly 20 years.
Okay.
Taught middle school math and coached football and boys basketball, and thought that was going to be the career and everything. And you could say probably God had different change of plans and whatnot. And I started doing this actually part-time in 15. And
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so kind of phased out of it.
Did you plan on always going full-time, or was it just something just kind of make some extra income and continue teaching, retire at teaching?
No, I had no intention of leaving the teaching career, but it was one of those ideas that in 2017 it just kind of presented itself, thinking, wow, I'm actually making more doing this than I was, 16 years in the classroom. So I've been in this full time since 2017, and Here I am.
Prior to real estate, you want to talk about coaching. So you did basketball and football.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between the two, coaching those two?
At least in basketball, you're out of the elements. Like today, it's raining, so you don't have to worry about the rain or anything. Pretty much you get what you get when you're inside. You don't have to worry about wind or anything.
That's very true.
But the nice thing about football was, and to this day, I still have some of my coaching apparel. You get all kinds of coaching apparel, from shorts and jackets and
stuff.
Yeah, you get some apparel while you're at it.
So you have more coaches in football,
and you have more coaches in football.
Right.
So you're divided up into positions and whatnot and everything. So, but I enjoyed both. It was great, and wouldn't trade it for anything. So.
Have you sold anything to any of the kids you coached yet?
Actually, I have.
Really?
Funny enough, and actually I went under contract with a former student just yesterday. So it's pretty neat to see them. What I say, they're adulting now and everything.
This was junior high, right? Yeah.
I taught 7th and 8th grade. Yeah,
right.
Pretty much. So
I think you had all three of my kids at one point, maybe, or two of them.
At least. I remember Nico playing football.
Yeah,
and I think you and I agreed that it wasn't necessarily his cup of tea and everything.
Yeah, he didn't like to hit. I think he liked the game.
Right.
I just don't think, you got to want to hit somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
now you're in real estate. Are you glad you made that decision? You're happy that you're a full-time realtor now?
Absolutely. Could are there always questions on why I wish I could have started early? Sure, but again, I don't think I would have traded for anything as far as the teaching, because I think in a lot of ways the classroom really has, accelerated me to help me to where I'm at now, and it has taught me so much. I tell people, it's like, look, I taught, but I also think in terms of teaching, there's learning involved, and
Right.
I felt like I learned just as much, if not more, from my kids and from the people that I was surrounded with over those 16 years into what I'm doing now. So
How's your life changed as far as family life? How is being a realtor compared to a
oh
teacher?
yeah, absolutely. It's been great. It's like, we can go on vacations when we want to. As you know, I probably don't get enough vacations or do enough. But I like the flexibility of it, and being able to call my own shots as far as being able to set hours and things. And I think that was kind of what was getting to me was, my job was in teaching was, you had first hour, second hour, third hour, and all the way through school. And then you had athletics afterwards and all. And then I remember just a lot of times coming home being just physically and mentally drained every single day. And even during the summertime when we were coaching football and, doing off-season workouts and
that doesn't pay much, does it?
It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't. It's almost to where, when I was coaching, I think I could probably make one closing, and that would pretty much suffice a coaching stipend. So
Right.
yeah,
Right. Does no? You have two kids, Hannah and
Andrew.
And Rebecca's now. She's a nurse.
She's a nurse.
Yeah.
And she's been doing that for
She
about
changed
3
from
years.
something else before. What was she doing before?
She was a school teacher as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. Right. So does Andrew remember you as a teacher?
In times he does. I mean, he's seen pictures and things of that nature. But Hannah, for sure, she
Right.
nothing but
You're a
dad is a
full-time
realtor.
realtor. Right. Right. So is Andrew? Does he get involved in your real estate at all, or does he pay attention to what you're doing?
Sometimes he does. He doesn't like to usually go to the closings, but I should say the showings. He likes going to the closings sometimes and it's rather funny when we go to different title companies. He has kind of an idea. It's like, okay, this title company has these type of snacks and everything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny seeing him in that regard. But he, like I said,
Seems to have fun at the office.
He does. I know you and him. They shoot some baskets and whatnot around the office and everything.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fun to see him around, and it's almost kind of like a flip. But it's like I see a lot in his eyes and what I was experiencing as a kid, because I remember spending times and hours, at the office with my parents. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. My folks were in real estate too, but I didn't. I was already had gone to college, got another job before they got into real estate. So that wasn't anything that I grew up with.
Right.
But it's been a big part of our family. So
Absolutely.
So anyway, now you're as a realtor. You've been full time since 17. So what, 6 years now? Your production has gone up pretty much every month or every year, rather, right?
About the same. Yeah.
Yeah. 21, 22 was fairly similar, wasn't it?
Pretty similar.
As far as your production goes. Where do you see it going now? How do you feel like 2023 is, with the rates that have gone up? Inventory's kind of come up a little bit. How do you view 23 going?
Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about it. With it, I know we're taping this during spring break and whatnot, but, I've had a couple homeowners approach me and wanting to list their home. So I think things are going to start getting, I think the market's going to get crazier and all, and looking forward to see what the rest of the year holds. So,
right. Do you feel like as realtors we need to really think about like what it's going to be like in 6 months, what it's going to be like in 12 months, or should we just focus on the today and the market that we're in today?
That's a really good question. It's kind of, almost in the same ballpark, I guess, with the interest rates, because we really don't know where it's going to go into and everything. I know that there's still a huge need for buyers out there, even first-time home buyers that want to take pride in home ownership,
right,
and all. And
where'd they go?
Where
did the buyers go?
In terms of
I mean, in 19 they were around.
Yeah.
We had more buyers than sellers. I would think 20 it kind of flipped on us.
Right.
Are they just gun shy, or are they?
I think in some ways they are, and then also too, I think they find themselves possibly thinking maybe I need to go in a lower price bracket, And so what's happening there is now that inventory is even smaller, or it's getting taken pretty quick and all. So I don't know if the buyers necessarily are just completely gone. I think, and like you said, I think in some ways I think they're gun shy, but also I think they're having to go in a lower price bracket, and now they're being competitive with everybody else that was already there to begin with.
Right.
And so they kind of get lost in the mix, and in some ways I think they get discouraged, but in the end I think I think they come out on the right side. I mean, I've had some buyers, they've looked, and it's taken them a while, but they found something eventually.
Right.
So
Yeah, they always do.
They do.
As long as they stick with it. You also do some coaching.
I do. That was kind of one of the things. It was something that kind of was tugging in my heart. Something that I felt like with us in our brokerage, and something that I think in a lot of ways that I missed as a newer agent, that I wish I had more of.
Right.
And so I thought, well, with my teaching and coaching background, why not? And
Sure.
so right now I'm working with about 8 agents here in our office and everything. And I hope that they've benefited from it. I haven't heard anything negative.
What surprised you the most about the coaching thing? What is it that, as you've sat down with these 8 people, and you've had others that have got in it and got out of it, right?
Right.
What surprised you about what they knew, didn't know? Anything that usually?
I don't know if there's anything one in particular. I would say the one biggest thing I think that caught to my attention is that I know of at least 1 or 2 agents understanding, the concept of what open houses are about. I had one agent basically said, "Okay, well, I did an open house, and here's the buyer," and all. I'm like, "No, this is your opportunity to work this buyer." And
They brought the buyer back to you.
Yeah, brought the buyer back to me, and I said, "No, you worked the 2 hours." I said, "You need to follow up with them. That's your buyer."
Did they sell it?
Well, they didn't sell it, but she's basically running around with them now and trying to find them something. Yeah,
good.
But yeah, it was kind of one of those. No, that you don't have to give that back to me.
Right. Right.
What I needed was feedback from my seller to.
You can't ever assume anything that they know it.
Exactly. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned from this industry, is that even though whether you've done this the first time or first year or even your 20th year, you can't always assume, something. You've always got to kind of play it as if, you're starting from ground zero.
Right. You can't over-explain it sometimes.
Exactly.
Right. Well, one of the things I like to ask, just to get to know you a little bit better, what's something about you that we may not know?
Well, I'll tell our audiences. So Mark Parrish is a realtor in our office, right. And Mark and I were actually Little League baseball teammates back in the day. So
is that in Moore?
It was Southwest Oklahoma City Moore.
Okay.
And all. I was pitcher and he was the catcher for our team.
Did you know? I mean, like when you saw him within the last couple of years, did you put that together at that point?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
because
you knew it.
Absolutely, because
That's funny.
Mark's dad, whose name is Mark.
Okay.
Mark's dad and my dad coached together.
Oh.
And so we were pretty much, we were the Sooners. So.
Is that how he got here?
In terms of
the brokerage?
I don't know if that
it wasn't
for a fact.
Through you?
No, it wasn't through me. No.
Okay.
So, but when I saw that he was in our office, I was like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" And so we just kind of picked back like we were when we were kids.
Were you a good pitcher?
I was decent.
You get the ball over the plate.
I threw more of the junk stuff more than anything.
I didn't a knuckleball or what?
Well, no, just some movement, change up. Didn't necessarily have the fastest pitches of all pitches,
but you throw strikes.
I would throw strikes, and that's what my dad taught me was, hey, just throw strikes. I'm not worried about speed.
That's
just
funny.
place it over the plate. Let him hit the ball, and let your defense.
Was Parrish a good catcher?
Parrish was a really good catcher.
Really?
So yeah.
Could he hit?
Yeah, he was decent.
Okay.
I wasn't too shabby too, and everything. So,
I'll
I'll tell you this one quick story. We had this, and I remember, if you know where Southern Hills Elementary is over in Oklahoma City,
Walker.
It's off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or between Penn and Western, they're in the neighborhood.
I'm way off. Okay.
So anyway, we were at practice one time, and we were just doing typical pitcher catcher stuff, and then we had teammates practicing on hitting. So I threw a pitch, and there was this pop fly that went in the air between Mark and I.
Uh-huh.
Well, Mark didn't keep he kept his face mask on,
Right.
and we collided in the middle, and I had this huge gash under. Matter of fact, you probably still see it. I got this scar right here from the chin. Anyway, that's from Mark. So
That's funny.
can't say that I can't remember that or not never forget Mark. So,
Did
but
you finish
Mark,
the inning?
no, I stood in my other coach's truck for the last couple hours. My dad actually couldn't be there at the time and everything, and I was just sitting in my coach's truck, just holding on, trying to have him get there and get me. So,
That's great.
But yeah, it was good times. I wouldn't trade it, but no, big shout out to Mark. So he was a good teammate and everything. He's still a great teammate here
Yeah.
to have in our office. So
he's one of a kind.
yeah.
Well, anything else you got?
No, I'm good. Just appreciative of being here and everything,
good to
and
have
love the people at Whittington Realty.
You know, I was thinking. I want to throw this out at the end here. I asked around about, I like when I'm doing these, I'll ask people, hey, tell me what you know about, or what's your first impression about so and so, or what's your first. So, I always call you Upshaw. I don't know why I don't call you John, because there's maybe John's too common and Upshaw
is
you know
uncommon.
exactly who it is.
Yeah.
And I'd say, what's your thoughts on Upshaw? And it's pretty much the same across the board. It's you have a reputation of being real steady, very disciplined, predictable, and that's a good person to have around the office. I can't, it's hard to think of who are some people in our office that are really important to what we do. And I'd have to say, based on what people expressed about you and I'd already known, you're a great guy to have. And I appreciate you being here.
Well, that means a lot, and again, that kind of goes back to just how I want to be treated and how I need help, because I do always need help at times, and all. And like I said, with the way our company is, whether you've done 0 deals or done 1 million deals, everybody's been so helpful.
That's
and
good.
I just want to be able to add value to other people and everything, and
you
vice
do.
versa. So
You do. I appreciate you. All right, we'll be back next week for another Realtor Spotlight.